Hey guys, welcome back to Walking with Jesus Daily. We are in day 42. We are in our fourth day of our I am statements of Jesus. It is actually our fifth I am statement. I just want to point one thing out. Today's is I am the resurrection and the life. Resurrection being brought back from the dead to life, right? To be resurrected. Can we just notice one trend that we have seen so far? He says, I am living bread, the bread of life. The second one, he says, I am the light of the world. I am the light of life. I am the door to life. I am the good shepherd. I lay down my life, and I also have the authority to take up my life. And in this one, the resurrection and the life. Did I make it? Did I emphasize it enough that we're focused on the word life? Who likes the word life more than the word death? Like, don't we appreciate life a whole lot more than we appreciate death? Isn't it fun to celebrate life, but painful? Painful even if we know somebody's not suffering, or we think we know somebody's not suffering anymore, or whatever it might be. It's still hard to lose somebody. Death is still hard, whether it be a pet or a friend, or even somebody you didn't even know that well. It's still difficult. There's still not usually a whole lot of joy associated with death. But a new life being born oftentimes brings great joy. A new brother or sister life is one of the greatest joys that I know on this planet. So we're going to be in John chapter 11. So far we've been John 6, John 8, John 10, and now John 11. I know, he messed it up. Should have went to 12. But since he didn't even make up chapters, 11 sounds just fine. So as we go into John chapter 11, let's look at the context of what is happening here. And Jesus just talks about being the door to life and the shepherd. And those are both taking place in chapter 10. At the very end of chapter 10, it says that many started to believe him because he was doing the very things that John had spoken of. And then it said, though, right before that since they were going to try to stone him, he retreated back to the area around the Jordan where John was baptizing people. This is important for us to know the geography of these things because there was a man, Lazarus, that was a good friend of Jesus. We remember Mary and Martha and Lazarus, their brother, and they lived in Bethany. Where is Bethany? Bethany is a village just outside of Jerusalem. Where did Jesus just flee from so that he wasn't stoned? Yes, Jerusalem. Okay? So it says that it was this Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair. It was her brother Lazarus who was ill. And Jesus had received a message saying that Lazarus was ill. And it was important. We're not going to go into this story too much, but we are going to say this, that Jesus decided to wait. It says he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was, and then after that he told his disciples, we're going to head back to Judea. And I'm bringing this up for one big moment because this is doubting Thomas's big moment, if you will. Okay? The disciples said to him, Rabbi, I don't know what happened back there, but do you remember they were just trying to stone you and now you want to go back there? And Jesus gives them an explanation. And it says, after saying these things, he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. In other words, he's died. And I'm going to go wake him up. And they said to him, Lord, if he's just fallen asleep, he'll recover. But Jesus had spoken about his death, as we read about in verse 13 of chapter 11. And Jesus then tells them, okay, guys, he's dead. All right, you're not understanding what I'm saying. Let me just make it clear. That way, he said, it's for your sake. I'm glad that I did not go and that I was not there. This way you can believe. So we need to go. Thomas, it says, doubting Thomas, as later known, said to his fellow disciples, let us also go, that we may die with him. Now, so, anyway, Thomas says, let us also go that we may die with him. And again, we don't know exactly what he's saying. If he's saying this about Jesus or Lazarus, I don't know, but it sounds like he's saying this about Jesus because they were just giving him kind of this warning about what was or had taken place just before that. Okay, so when Jesus comes, he finds that Lazarus has already been in the tomb for how many days? 4 days. Now, you can do a quick study on the way that Jews viewed the spirit. The spirit departed from, or departed from the body after 3 days. So 4 days in the tomb was really good and dead. And there was nothing left. The soul, was no longer there. It was just a dead body in there at this point. Okay? And how near was Bethany to Jerusalem? It was about 2 miles away. Just to give you an idea, 2 miles is not very far. Many of the Jews from Jerusalem had come to Mary and Martha in order to comfort them and to console them because of losing their brother. So when they find out that, we're going to pick it up here, it says, so when Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went and met him, but Mary remained seated in the house. It says, Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Now, probably a factual statement. They sent for him. That what took him 4 days to get there, or however many days it took total to get there. He's dead now. It's too late. And she says this, but even now I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha said, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. She brings this up. He will rise in the resurrection on the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. And then he asked this incredible question. He said, do you believe this? She says to him, yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is coming into the world. She believes. They're talking about two different things, but yet the same thing, but yet two different things. We find out later that as we keep reading this story that Jesus weeps. Could be many reasons why he weeps. Some believe that he truly hurt for them. Some believe that I was under the impression that he wept because he was taking Lazarus out of a good rest, a good peace. That Lazarus was safe, and he had to bring him back. And he says, Jesus asked the question, where have you laid him? They take him to the tomb. And Jesus said take away the stone. Martha says, Lord, by this time there will be an odor. He has been in there dead for 4 days. It's not a good idea to roll that stone away right now. Jesus said to her, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? So they take away the stone, and Jesus lifts his eyes, and he says, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this on account of the people standing around, that they may believe that you sent me. I said this for them, not for you and me. When he had said these things, he cried out with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. It says this, the man who had died came out. Not just some other guy named Lazarus, not somebody that went by Lazarus or somebody that pretended to be Lazarus. It says the man who had died, the man who was in there dead for 4 days, he came out. His hands and feet were bound with linen strips. His face was wrapped with a cloth, just like they prepared him for burial. And Jesus told him to go and untie him. Now, after this, many of the Jews who saw this believed in him, but there were still some who went and told the Pharisees. And this made them very angry. This goes on to more of a story of the plot to kill Jesus. But as we focus in on this, can we see the words that Jesus spoke? He said, I am the resurrection and the life. He's saying these words to you. Do you believe that Jesus is the resurrection and the life? Do you believe that he is life? Do you believe that there is resurrection? He said, whoever believes in me, though he die, whoever believes in me, though he die, and you will die. 100% guaranteed. Yet shall he live. Whoever believes in me and dies will live. And he says this, and everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Wait a second, didn't you just say that whoever believes in me, though you will die, will live? And now you're saying, but whoever lives and believes in me shall never die? Aren't those like two against each other? Not exactly. What he's clearly saying is, if you believe in me, even though you die in this world to this place, you actually live forever. And if you live and you believe in me at that point, there is no death ever. There's no death ever that waits on you. No death ever has power over you. Nothing has power over you anymore. We get to do this beautiful thing where we get to die to our own lives, die to ourselves in the waters of baptism, and be reborn spiritually into the kingdom of God. And then we never taste death. Even the death that we may face physically is a mortal death, not a spiritual death. See, we live a spiritual life now. Once you have been reborn in a spiritual life, you are his forever, as long as you believe and you walk with him. If you return back to the way that you once lived in a physical way, you are choosing to no longer spiritually live, but to physically die. And you will die. And you will die forever. But if you choose to die to this world and to live, then when you die physically, you actually live forever and there is no death for you. It's really cool how he says this, and I hope I explain that in a way that is understandable. I just want you to know this. If you've chosen to follow Jesus and you've died in the waters of baptism and been resurrected, a new life, a spiritual being, and you have stayed that way all the way until your physical mortal death, you'll never ever die. Yes, your body will die, but your body has no value to you anymore. You're a spiritual being, living in a spiritual kingdom, in a spiritual world. Your body's just a reminder that this place will one day pass, but you won't. But if you choose to live here and never be reborn spiritually, then when you die, that's it. There's nothing but death waiting for you. And then he says this, do you believe this? Jesus is basically speaking to you and he's speaking to me. He says, do you believe the words that I'm saying? Because here's what I'm about to do. I'm about to raise Lazarus from the dead. I'm about to show you a miracle that is impossible to be done. 4 days dead. And I'm going to call him out of the tomb. I'm going to let him die. I'm going to let you be miserable. I'm going to let you die inside for 4 days. I'm going to make you wonder where I am. I'm going to let you go through your entire burial. I'm going to let you weep over him. I'm going to let you put him in the tomb. I'm going to let you seal the tomb. And I'm going to make you feel like you're never, ever, ever going to see him again until the day of resurrection. And that's the only hope that you have. And then I'm going to show up. And I'm going to call him out of that grave. And he's going to live again. And I'm not going to do this for the benefit of Lazarus. I'm going to do it so that you'll believe who I am. Why does it make a point in saying that there were many people who witnessed this? Because we are a people who only believe based off of evidence and eyewitness accounts. And even then, not so much. If we don't want to believe it, we won't believe it. And that's what took place here. What happened? Many believed because they witnessed it. And still some of them just flat out refused to believe and instead got upset about it. And what did they do? They went and told the Pharisees. And what did the Pharisees do? They plotted a plan to kill Jesus. Because the many times that they had already tried just wasn't quite working out. So now, hopefully, they have enough evidence to get the job done. Guys, Jesus can't really make it any more clear that he is the only way to life. If you're able to save yourself, you don't need Jesus. If you're able to guarantee yourself some type of eternity in some kind of heaven that you think that you created, if you're able to talk yourself into the fact that you think there may be some kind of reincarnation, there's absolutely zero proof of reincarnation. There's proof of Satan lying, but there's no proof of reincarnation. Remember, there is a spiritual world out there that is evil and that is demonic. Can those demons remember things and go one body into the next and the next? Absolutely. Can you take away the eyewitness accounts of many, 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 many thousands of people? Only if you want to. That doesn't make it untrue. It just makes you dead. It just makes you wanting to believe lies. It makes you just like Jesus spoke about when he talked about being the good shepherd, that his own sheep hear his voice. Do you hear the voice of Jesus? He is the resurrection and the life. If you have any desire to live forever in a place eternal with God, Jesus is your only way to that. Baptism and death on this earth to resurrect into a new spiritual life now and forever is your only way to achieve that, because Jesus made it possible. See, Jesus is going to die and resurrect into a new spiritual body very soon in this story. He's then going to ascend into heaven. He's going to sit at the right hand of God. And that's where he is right now. And when we die, we will either resurrect and be with him forever, or we won't. But I will tell you this, that if you do not believe, fully believe, and therefore do what he asks, because of your incredible belief in his incredible love, you are hopeless. And those aren't my words. That's just the truth. Jesus is the resurrection and the life. Once again, he does an incredible miracle that is unexplainable here on this earth, just to reiterate what he has power over, proving that he has authority over life and death. He just talked about being the good shepherd with the authority to lay down his life and to take it back up. If he has that authority over his life, he has that authority over all life, but he will not force you. If you choose that you simply do not want to believe, you do not have to. You are free to go your own way, but I beg you, don't listen to the false teacher of this world. Don't listen to the lies. Hear the voice of the Good Shepherd. He has already died for you. He is already calling you home. Hear his voice. He is the resurrection and the life.